Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sharad Creasman, the college minister at Brevard College. Welcome to the Be the Change Brevard College Student Forum, where we will be continuing the discussion on social justice and racial inequality. We will start by having each panelist introduce themselves, starting with Gabe Covington on my right. Gabe?
Yeah, my name is Gabriel Covington, Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm an exercise science major, and I am a rising senior. I participate in football as well as track and field here at the college. And I am also vice president of BSU. Passing it on to Emily now.
Hey everyone, my name is Emily Fisher. I'm from Brevard, Georgia. I'm a junior here at Brevard College. I major in biology and I minor in chemistry and criminal justice, and I'm a member of IWIL. I'll pass it down to Patrick for me.
All right, my name is Patrick Hall. I'm a recent graduate, a 2020 graduate of Brevard College. I am now the Assistant Director of Athletic Operations here at Brevard College in the athletic department, and I'm also getting my Master's of Science in Sports Management from the University of Florida. I was the captain of the men's soccer team at Brevard College, and yeah, I'll pass it over to Adam now.
Hello, my name is Adam Spencer. I'm a rising senior. I'm a business major, and I also play soccer, and I'm also the president of the business club. Passing it off to Shakira now.
All right, my name is Sakura Thompson, and I am the president of Black Student Union at Brevard College, and I also play basketball and run track, and I am a rising senior, and I also major in business.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, each of you panelists, for being here this evening. We sincerely appreciate it. Our first question for the group. Gabe, we'll get us started on this. How do you feel about the racial tension that is going on right now?
Well, from both sides, I think it's very unfair, but I almost feel as if it kind of needs to happen, you know, just so we could wake the whole community up as far as, you know, the whole world, and bringing light to situations like this that have happened in the past that we just swept under the rug for so long. And, you know, I'm not necessarily glad about the way that it's happening, but I'm glad that it is happening, you know, and it's bringing light to people so we can get educated about situations like this happening, you know. Being an African-American male, typically you hear about things like this almost all the time, but now that you have the other side actually included in it and, you know, saying that these things or these practices are wrong, you know, it sheds light on an issue that was, you know, in the closet for so long. So I think it can be beneficial to both parties. And I'd like to pass it on to Ms. Emily Fisher.
I could never know exactly what situations and experiences that you guys go through, but I do feel like this is probably one of the first civil rights movements that we've been able to get both sides, well, not necessarily sides, but everyone together to fight something instead of fighting each other. So I feel like now we're kind of fighting the stigma than we are persons. So I feel like it's a little uncomfortable. Not a lot of people want to have these talks because it is so touchy for some people just because of what they've been through and what they used to believe before they got educated or still believe before they get educated, but it's necessary. And it's up to us to pretty much keep the conversation going for those that don't have it. Patrick?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you too. Coming from a different side, being a white male, definitely having an uncomfortable conversation is something that I totally believe in will create better education. Because I believe coming into uncomfortable situations is a great time to learn and learn from both sides of the story. I've never been in this kind of situation, but I think it's definitely a time to find this unprecedented time already with COVID, but then this on top of it, it's people are educating themselves, and that's the biggest key in this whole thing, I believe. And even though it's during unprecedented times with a pandemic going on, I think definitely having an uncomfortable feel about everything will open everybody's eyes around us, hopefully. Pass that over to Adam.
So the question was, how do I feel about racial tension that's going on now? I think it's definitely, the tensions have been higher recently, and I've definitely noticed that. Like a lot of my friends, I don't have social media anymore, but I've heard that there's been like divisive things being put on people's stories. People are choosing sides, picking enemies, blah blah blah. But I've also found that this whole movement has brought us more together. Like I've had random white people approach me on the street, ask me how I'm doing, let me know, and it's just like, yeah, the tension is bad, but there's also something beautiful coming out of this. Pass it over to Shakira.
All right. Well, I feel that this racial tension has been going on for years, and I think that now that it's being televised and recorded, people are really starting to see that, wow, like, this is really going on in our own neighborhoods. Like I have 2 brothers, and we can't even, like, we don't even want them walking to the store by themselves, and like just be safe getting home and things like that. So I feel like it's really hitting home. Even having a father, like you never know what can happen when they go to the store or anything. So I think it's good that it's getting out. And like Gabe said, I don't agree with how it's getting out, but like it's good that it's getting out there.
Certainly, we thank you for each of your insights. For our next question, Adam will answer first. Adam, what does white privilege or Black Lives Matter mean to you?
Well, I'll first start by answering what Black Lives Matter means to me. And to be honest, it's obvious that this is nothing new. The Black Lives Matter movement isn't anything new. It's just something that's picked up traction during the recent tragedies that have happened. And it's a fight that it's good to see all this traction from other people all joining the fight, but it's been going on for a while now. And to me, it means just striving for equality and having an even playing ground, and also just asking for justice for like the terrible things that are done to us. In terms of people that back the movement, it seems like there's a lot of virtue signaling going on right now. Like people are just picking this up, and then, you know, it'll be forgotten by many, because I don't see true, genuine support for the cause. There are a lot of people that do have opinions, so as but like there's not much action being done by the people who have such strong opinions. In terms of white privilege, for a discussion regarding Black Lives Matter, I don't think white privilege is a good thing to be used, and I don't think it's constructive, because white privilege is a blanket statement, and I think people are a lot more complex than that. And I do understand that, well, just to be clear, all of my perspectives on things, I don't expect them to be right. Like, these are not hills I'll die on, so if y'all have something to say, feel free to say it. But in terms of white privilege, yeah, people are really complex, and it's obvious that there were people that have inherited, you know, in terms of money, they've inherited money from corrupt systems in the past. But to use white privilege it seems to be more racist and more divisive than it is constructive for the issues that we have. Yeah, and that's my take on it. If anybody has any questions, feel free. Pass it off to Shakira.
All right. Well, I think that white privilege is being born with a head start, pretty much. It's like you have not having to work as hard as the black male or any other race. And I think that the Black Lives Matter means to me is that you should be treated equal, like not just being picked out because of the color of your skin. I think that we should be treated just as fairly as everyone else, if not even better, or not yet having to see things done to us that were done in the 1800s and things like that. We'll pass off to Gabe.
So my whole take on, I guess, Black Lives Matter first is it's primarily a movement in which that says, hey, you know, we're still people, we're still relevant, you know. And I actually sat in on a meeting last night. There was one gentleman that asked a sheriff officer, you know, do you support the whole Black Lives Matter movement? He said, all lives matter. And, you know, for that brief second, I'm like, yeah, you're right. But here's what I don't want people to take away from it. When we say Black Lives Matter, it's not just saying specifically Black lives, you know. It's speaking to every life yet, but simply because for so long, African American people were treated as if they weren't people. You know, we just want to put that whole emphasis on the African American person, you know, just saying, hey, we're still people, and we have to take note of that as well. As far as the whole white privilege thing, I do agree with Shakira, because ever since grade school, you know, I've had family members tell me, you know, you always have to work harder than a Caucasian or a white person, you know, in this world, because this is their world, you know. And yeah, I do agree with Shakira saying that, you know, you being a minority, you have to work 10 times harder than your average Caucasian person. And, you know, that's just my take on it. And that's what honestly, that's how I feel almost every day. You know, I have to work harder because I strive to get what they have, you know? And I don't know, I agree with Adam as well. It is a blanket statement, but I guess it all comes from, you know, how you grew up with it as well. Because I know some Caucasian people that don't necessarily use that white privilege as we've seen throughout history, you know. And I don't know, it's really a complex topic, honestly. And with that being said, I'm sorry, Adam, what did you say?
No, I was saying, I was agreeing with you. Yeah, it's really complex.
Yeah, it's very complex. And I wouldn't know necessarily the terms of white privilege unless it comes from a Caucasian or a white person. So with that being said, I'm going to the position.
That was an amazing introduction. Thank you. You know, I have to say that I approach this with kind of my perspective, but then also trying to understand, for instance, Gabe and Shakira, your perspective on it as well. Because to be completely honest with you, which is the point of this podcast, is to be honest, when I hear white privilege at first, I became a little offended. Not trying to compare backgrounds by any means, but like sometimes, like how you said, Gabe, there are some Caucasians that don't necessarily have the privilege or feel that they have the privilege because of socioeconomic status and stuff like that. And I was one of them at first, but then when I sat down and took feelings out of it and started looking at the way that you guys see it and trying to understand it, I realized that you guys aren't looking at socioeconomic necessarily. You are looking at just the fact that because I am white, I'm not going to necessarily be looked at in the suspicious or biased way that you guys are. So it's not a privilege in the sense of socioeconomic or anything like that. It's more just the fact that I might get away with something and actually doing something bad, and you guys could just be standing there on the street and doing nothing and targeted for something, even though I'm doing something bad. So like, I kind of, in the sense of white privilege, I feel like there should be a better name for it. So that way then more people who aren't trying to understand it or are feeling a little offended by it too would be more willing to accept it. But I also do understand where you guys are coming from on that. As for the Black Lives Matter movement, I think it's a great way for you guys and everyone to come together because it's not just for African Americans to support, it's for all of us to support. so then all people of color can get to the equality status that we all want. So I think it's great. I want to support it as much as I can because it's so cliche for me to say, but I really don't see color. So I think everyone should have the same benefits regardless of their race, gender, socioeconomic status, anything like that. Like it should all just be about your grit and your work ethic and what you know, and not just on your outside appearance. So it's kind of a layered answer to that question, but I'll pass it on to Patrick.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with how Emily's coming from a different side of things. But I'll start off with the Black Lives Matter movement and my point of view. So like Gabe was saying, it's not saying that Black lives are overly, or they're not focusing just on Black Lives Matter being over everybody else. It's all about equality, because you could see the Black lives are at a lower or under the minority groups going over white people and stuff like that. So they're trying to make it an equal playing field among both and getting that recognition to go up into that. And then everybody's heard this quote saying, "All lives matter until Black lives matter." Or yes, that's how it goes. So really focusing on that, and people that go out and say, yeah, all lives matter, but all lives don't matter right now in a lot of people's eyes. So putting that Black Lives Matter up on that pedestal is really trying to equaling out that playing field. And then going into the white privilege sense of it, I see it as getting the recognition coming as a white male, trying to recognize my white privilege. And I think that's the big key that a lot of people don't see. And at first, yeah, I did find it offensive, like how Emily was saying, but actually taking out my feelings and trying to see through other people's eyes or standing in other people's shoes, like trying to understand what they see, how easy my life is compared to how they work. I've always grown up comfortable and I've always felt comfortable in my life and doing whatever I want to do, walking down the street and doing that without feeling judged or feeling in danger. But like really recognizing how me personally can really have that privilege compared to everybody else around me is a big key that I believe in.
So for our next question, Patrick, will answer first. Do you have a personal story that you would like to share where you wish you would have done more or wish someone else would have done more?
Yeah, actually, so for the viewers that are watching right now, as well as people that don't know me as much as probably Adam knows, is the only one that's here right now, is I have a biracial adopted brother. And the story comes off of that. And he was at a soccer tournament. He plays in one of the highest divisions in U.S. soccer as a youth player. And they were playing in a tournament. I think it was in like Greensboro or somewhere in the middle of the state of North Carolina. And they were playing, and he took the ball away from a player, and the player in front of his team's bench called him the N-word in front of the coach, and enough for everybody to hear around him. So the coach took action and pulled the team off the field in the middle of a pretty intense tournament, and something that actually mattered, and decided that it's not right to play against a team that condones that action. So they took him off the field, and they went about that and withdrew from that game, and they took action against that and stood up for him. And he's on a predominantly white team, and that's how U.S. soccer kind of is now. But they stood up for that and went about in that way, and I just thought that was really powerful. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there, but just hearing that story kind of like cripples me, and like wishing to support him more. And I've always supported him and was able to answer any questions that he might have growing up. I know it's different growing up in a white household, and just trying to be a support system. And I know like middle school kids, he's 14 years old, middle school kids, they don't really understand everything, and whatever questions he has, I'm here for him. So yeah, that's my story. I'll pass it over to Adam if he has one.
Yeah, I got one. When I was younger, like anybody that has ever known me, I'm not the most confrontational person. And I like to joke around, if you know me. And when I was in high school, like, I had these people that I thought were my friends, and you know, it just, like, the jokes that we would say to each other were awful because they're jokes, of course. But like, there's just some downright racist things that have been said to me that I've just completely like laughed off, like, haha, whatever. But in reality, like, I didn't have enough respect for myself to stand up for myself and speak like these people were saying the worst things ever, like just completely disrespecting me, and I would just play it off. But the one thing that I've learned now is to just like speak my mind more, and if I don't feel comfortable about something, now I let you know. And it's like I definitely wish if I could turn back the clock. Of course I can't, nobody can. I would go back and tell them a piece of my mind, because I think it's important that if you feel like you're being discriminated against, or if you feel like somebody's not treating you right, that you let them know, like, hey, this isn't fair, blah, blah, blah. Or like you went beyond the limits of where you should be. I'll pass it off to Shakira. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, I don't really have a personal story where someone could have done more or less, but I do have a story where it was a group of us from the basketball.
Can you all hear her?
We'll get back in just a moment. But in the meantime, before she comes back, Gabe, why don't you go ahead and lead us in that question?
Okay.
Is there any?
So yeah, I'm just like Shakira. I don't necessarily have a story, but I wish someone could have done more, or if I could do more. But growing up in Charlotte, you know, there's a lot of police everywhere, you know, patrolling just about everywhere. And I remember this particular day in the summertime, it was me and my friend. We were just taking a walk through the neighborhood or whatever the case is. And he had a bike. So, you know, he has his bike, he's walking the bike. But, you know, all of a sudden, we started to not even feel right. So, you know, we see one police car pass behind us going on another street. I don't know if it was the same police car or another police car, but then another passed in front of us. And then we suddenly get to this neighborhood that basically turns on to another neighborhood. And something tells us to look behind us, and there's a police car creeping up behind us. And so, you know, we're kids, like we don't know what's going on. So we get, you know, scared or whatever the case is. So he's like, run. I'm like, no, I'm not running. Because, you know, I've seen too many things, you know, happening. When you just run, and you can be as innocent as can be, but, you know, that could ultimately cost you your life. But so we continue to walk and act cool, like nothing's happening. And all of a sudden he speeds up a little bit more to, you know, come and talk to us. He rolls his window down and he said, hey, where you get that bike? You know, my friend said, this is my bike. This is my bike. And moral of the story is the officer assumed that we both stole the bike that my friend had because someone reported a bike that looked like that bike stolen. So to me, that was just a story of discrimination, you know, or mistaken identity. You know, we're just young kids. We don't want to steal bikes. You know, we were just having a leisure time walking throughout the neighborhood. Just things like that, you know, and encounters like that made me not even want to trust the police, as well as, you know, it ultimately kind of gives you that negative connotation of what a police officer does or is, in a sense. Yeah, just experiences like that was, you know, kind of the turning point in me having faith in the police. And I know I'm going on a tangent, but, you know, that was just my story. And I don't know, you know, it's kind of scary to, you know, having to be racially profiled or discriminated upon, and you're not even that person that committed the crime, you know. And I don't know, as an African American male, it's scary because, you know, you see stories like that all the time, and like I said, some people end up with their lives being gone, you know. And it's almost crazy to believe that if you look just like somebody, or if you have an item that was fit in the description, you could be very well gone in that second. It's scary. It's scary. So with that, I'll pass it on to Emily.
Well, can I just say I'm very sorry. And I wish I could tell you that I understand, but I do not. So all I'm going to say is that I'm sorry, and I hope we can do better. As for me, I don't have a personal story, but I have something that I witnessed that I wish I could have stepped in, but I didn't know if I had the authority to. So I used to volunteer a lot at preschools and stuff like that. And they're little kids, they really don't understand like all of these complex issues or statements or anything. And I saw this little boy and this little girl playing together, and the little boy was very smitten with this girl and said that he wanted to marry her. And, you know, we're all going, aw. And the little girl said, we can't get married because your skin is different than mine. And that kind of made me stop and think, because they don't, while a lot of kids don't understand that, they go based off of what they see. And it made me start to realize every book that you practically see, every commercial, although it's gotten better now, a little better, but every commercial you see, almost every book, anything like that, it's the family is all the same color. You hardly ever see any mixed families in social media. You do when you're older, but I feel like not so much for little kids. And I feel like if we were to start doing that, or encouraged more TV shows or little kid books, or even just on the juice pouch bag, like a family with a black mom and a white dad, or whatever, even if it's a Asians, Hispanic, you know, all of that, that should all be equally represented, so that then our kids aren't, so that even if they don't learn it in the households, they're not learning it from their version of social media, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because they are constantly looking and trying to learn about the world around them. And if we don't give them the opportunity to see that themselves, it's going to be harder for them when they're older to be able to understand these concepts and stuff. So wish I could have sat them down and explained it to them. But of course, I'm also only a volunteer. I'm not a parent. So I didn't really know what I could do in that situation. So I wish I could have done more. But I guess we're done now. I was going to pass it, but then I realized I'm the last one. Care back yet?
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts and your insights. I mean, thank each of you for doing that. Our next question is for Gabe.
Oh, wait, we got Shakira back.
Uh-oh. All right, Shakira, welcome back.
I'm back.
Here you go.
All right. So we left off on the question, do you have a personal story that you would like to share when you wish you would have done more, or you wish someone else would have done more?
Okay.
Not again.
Oh, Shakira's having technical difficulties. All right, she's going to join us again in just a few moments, all right? So while we're waiting for her, our next question is for Gabe. As a student of color, what would you like to see from your staff, your faculty, or your peers?
Honestly, I would like to have more African American teachers. I feel like it'll be, you know, easier to connect with those professors because, you know, in many cases we may come from just about the same background, may have, you know, some of the same stories and maybe like-minded as well. But yeah, honestly, to me, I would love to have more African American teachers. And I say that simply because, you know, I had a Caucasian teacher teaching me about, African American history. Now, don't get me wrong, I love him, and he taught me a lot of great things, but I don't know, it would be kind of different if I learned that from a African American person, either male or female. And I'm just that type of student, like I said, I really loved my history professor. Like he was the best. I think he's one of the best professors here. But it's just different, it's different learning our history, my culture from somebody who's in that specific culture, and it just gives you a sense of that specific professor actually caring, if you get what I'm saying. You know what I mean? That's my take on it, and I'd love to pass it to Emily to get a little bit of your insight about the question.
Well, I don't really have perspective to share, but I do believe we will be answering a question later about as a white student what I would like. So I'm going to save my answer for that, if that's okay. Patrick, do you have anything to add, or do you want me to pass it to Adam?
Yeah, unless you want to tie that question into this one, we can. If not, we could just pass it to Adam.
To be honest, the question is, as a student of color, what would you like to see from staff, faculty, and your peers? In my time at Brevard College, it's been pretty nice. It's been the most accepting place I've ever lived. This is the most comfy place, and I've enjoyed my time. The only thing that I'd like to see is nothing different. I just want authenticity. That's it. I just want people to treat me like I'm Adam, Don't see anything else other than that. Judge me by what I do and how my character is. And I'll pass that off to Shakira.
Okay, as a student of color, I think I would like Gabe said, I would like to see more African American teachers. I feel like we can connect to the teachers we have now, but I feel like we would really connect to African American teacher that was teaching maybe like history or something like that, and like really teaching like the different side than what we are originally used to learning about in schools.
Thank you for sharing your perspectives. So our next question is for Emily. As a white student, what would you like to see from your staff, your faculty, and your peers?
So I agree with Adam. I mean, I have seen this place be a great melting pot of sorts. We have so many people from so many cultures. We even have some international students coming. So everything's pretty much like the authenticity that Adam was talking about is definitely here. At least I feel like it is. No one's just tolerating each other, nothing like that. Everyone genuinely loves each other here. But I would say that with the tension going on, it'd be great to still be treated based on our reputation and our character. And I think this speaks for like everyone across the board. Like, don't let this become anybody versus each other. Like, I don't want anybody who's coming back from home coming here and like all of a sudden wanting it to be a certain race versus a certain race, or a gender versus a gender, or anything like that. Like, I think it should still be everyone comes together to be educated and learn. And yes, let's talk about the tough subjects. We need to make and use our love and companionship here to be able to make a change, because we don't have to worry about losing anybody on the way, because everyone wants to be on the same team. So I guess just making sure that everything still continues as is, but we're still using that bond that we all have to making sure that we improve everything for everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone from disabilities to people who feel like they can't be themselves at home, like that sort of stuff. Everyone should be able to come here and just be who they want to be, and we should be able to make it a better place and do that in the world. Patrick, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I'm thankful now that I have the opportunity to hear this from students, now that I'm a staff member at the college, to actually be a part of this. I think Adam was great with the authenticity, and I agree with Gabe and Shakira. You do see the lack of diversity among staff members at the college, as in professors. But then again, I see the staff as trying to have more of a support system for all races and all genders. I believe that in my experiences, they've done perfectly well with that, but possibly on another person's side, they might be lacking in that. But me as a staff member now at the college, I'm opening myself up to be somebody to come talk to. Whatever you need, I'll listen and support you in any way that you believe is fit. So yeah, that's what I believe in.
Thank you, Patrick.
Gabe, one quick question, Sharad, sorry. What major are you?
Me.
Yeah.
Exercise science.
Okay. Because one of the really cool things that the board major does is whenever like they're getting ready to hire a new professor for the next year, they actually bring in candidates and let us meet them. And they actually put on a demo lecture sometimes too. So like, I guess we talk to whoever the higher ups are, we can probably say, hey, we want this, this, and this. And then we could probably have a few candidates to pick and choose from, and to hear them come and meet them, whatever. That could probably be something we could aim for next year if we want to make this a.
Now, is that specifically for the board major?
You know, that's the only place I've been to demo lectures or got to meet potential professors before they came into the board, before they got hired. We just got to talk to them and meet them and see who they were.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out. I'll be more than happy to look into that.
Adam and Gabe, your comments fit into our next question. And Shakira, I'm going to ask you to lead us off in this. What does social action mean for you?
I can't really hear you.
Oh, are you still there?
All right.
Can you hear me, Shakira? All right, Shakira, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
I'm here.
Okay, good. So I was asking the question, what does social action mean for you? And if she can't hear me, Gabe, you can lead us off.
Social action means that everyone's coming together to take action on a certain cause or issue to find a resolution to that certain problem, and to accommodate for all, not just for one set of people or anything like that. Also getting involved on a personal level, and not just saying, oh yeah, we're part of this cause and things like that. I feel like we should really educate ourselves and get involved on certain issues in the world.
Gabe, any thoughts?
Yeah, man. Yeah, Shakira, that was good. You hit that nail right on the head. So I guess, just to put it in more simpler terms, not only just talking the talk, but, walking the walk. Because it's easy to say, yeah, I'm with you guys. But, if you're not on the forefront with me, it means nothing. It means nothing to me. And it kind of shows that it means nothing to you either. So, yeah, I love the way Shakira explained that. You broke that down real well. But, probably going a little bit further into it is, it mind boggles me that, you can have some people say, yeah, I'm with you to the end, I'm in for the cause. But if you're not putting the work in for it, or with it, showing me that you actually stand with me or that you care, it makes me feel as if you don't care at all. You just want to be a part of it because it looks cool. It looks good to just say, yeah, I'm with you, but like I said, it's a difference in just, talking it and walking, That's a lot of things that we missed out on, you know, not only now, but only in history, because I think Adam said it in our meeting the other day. You know, you have so many people that say they're with you, but they're not really with you. They're just with you because it looks good for them. You know, and like Shakira, you knocked it out the park with that one. I like that one. But I'll pass it on to Ms. Emily Fisher.
So you kind of touched on one of the subjects I was going to touch on. Like, again, what you said about making sure that you're not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. For me, it kind of seems like well, I hope that this isn't the case. I don't want to say that it is, but I'm worried that a lot of people were just jumping on it because it was trending and it looked cool on social media. Because while social media is a great way to educate others and get information real easily, it also was trending, and people have a habit of just that when their name is up and they look cool, like you said, putting things out there. Now, some people genuinely actually mean it and they're using it to make the cause go forward. But like a lot of people were talking about how Breonna Taylor was trending for so long, and now all of a sudden, because it isn't cool anymore, it's not trending as much anymore. So like it kind of goes on to that. Social action for me personally too is this. I don't know if you guys can tell how red I am or how shaky I've been throughout this entire little thing. This is very out of my comfort zone. This is very out of my normal. I like to stay to the back. That doesn't mean that I don't think that my opinions are valid or like need to be heard or don't deserve to be heard or anything. It's just very hard for me to step out. But then when I heard about this opportunity, I realized it was a great way for me to walk the talk that I've been talking about with my friends and everything. So this is kind of my way of having social action and saying, like, for those that feel really shy and like they can't really say anything about it, step out there. You may make a few mistakes, but it's all about learning and educating, because sometimes you have to fail in order to learn. So don't be afraid to step on some toes as long as it's in with the good intentions in heart and making sure that you're getting out there and learning how to correct those mistakes. So I'm getting really red, so I'm going to pass it down to Patrick.
No, thank you, Emma. I take everything from all of you guys that have spoken already. What I have noticed, unfortunately, are people that, like, the Blackout Wednesday was a big thing that I took notice in on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, the social media formats of people posting a black screen on their page, and then that's all you hear of from them ever again. And I think that's one thing to maybe get the ball rolling, but then getting rear ends out of the seats and going out and actually doing something is another thing. And that's what I believe social action is. What Adam was talking about earlier with people getting virtue out of this is something that makes me upset, in a sense, to make me want to do more to try to pick up their workload, which is, I don't know, we're all in this together, but we need to have a unit, like a unit with unity going around and really getting the word out and getting the action put into place. So that's what I believe in. And I'll pass it to Mr. Spencer.
So I'll be the first to say that I don't think that I've done enough in terms of this movement, and which is why I'm here today with y'all, so that hopefully after this discussion we can actually get something started for next year at Brevard and making some change. But in terms of social action, I tend to take on this philosophy in my own life, in that every day I just hope that whatever I do benefits me, and then after that benefits my family, then after that benefits the people around me, and then for basically the greater good of society. Now, I'm not even close to getting that good or achieving what I strive for, but I'm just praying every day that I can become a better person. And that's what social action is to me. It's just like, it's putting my own needs at the forefront, you know, making sure I'm good. But then after that, immediately moving on to the next and helping out my family. And then after that, helping out the people that are around me, and just working outwards in order to become a better, you know, light. And yeah, that's about it. I'll pass it off to Shakira now. Or did she? Yeah, she already answered that, so I don't know what I'm passing to.
So here's my final question for you. Emily will answer first. What are some ways we could continue to work with others who have a difference of opinion or a difference in background or value on social action? Simply put, where do we go from here?
I feel like Brevard College is definitely the best place for us to actually do this because I'm also a student ambassador. So all summer I've been giving tours and talking about experiential education, and that's what we do here, and that's experiencing it. So some people maybe talking and reading and seeing pictures isn't enough for them. Maybe they need to experience it. So I know something that had a profound impact on me when I was in elementary school was we did a privilege walk. And so like actual activities like that we can get our students to participate in and actually open their eyes to how maybe that's not the same thing. Like, you know, not all white people are necessarily better socioeconomically than everyone else, but we still do get to see how privilege gets in there and how we can experience what other people are seeing and experiencing themselves. I know we're having a wall be put up. I actually passed it today. They put it up today. Be the Change is happening in Tornado Alley. And we'll be able to sign that so people will actually be able to see their commitment and be reminded of their commitment. So maybe when it's not cool anymore, we're actually able to keep this going. But basically just being able to continuing tough talks, but taking it away from talking and then actually getting to experience and try to get others to experience it too if they're not so much open to it. Patrick, you got anything to add?
Yeah, definitely. My biggest thing was the education aspect of it and really educating people in a sense. And at Brevard College, having the experiential education and how Emily just put it, like the privilege walk would be a great way of experiential education in a classroom with a group of students. Yeah, I definitely agree with what she was saying, and some things that we as a staff have started putting in place, obviously the pledge wall and actually people signing a pledge of social injustices around the world and going about that, as well as starting a staff committee that looks at these social injustices and speaks on them and collaborates, and then eventually does something like we're doing right now. And I think that's a really good thing, just to have the voices of the students being a liaison to the staff and to the higher ups in the community and college and possibly the government, and see if anything could change with that in the social action, that kind of stuff. So, Adam?
All right. The question was, what are some ways we could continue to work with others who have a difference of opinion or different background or value on social action? Where do we go from here? One of the most important things that I've realized recently is that, like many others, my perspective is so far from reality, it's not even funny. So it's really nice to be able to talk with people like y'all, because it really broadens my perspective on certain issues. Like I if you know me, like I'm the one that like thinks they got it all figured out most of the time, blah blah blah. I can talk your ear off on anything. But the one beautiful thing about having somebody with a different opinion is that instead of being caught up in confirming your own way of thinking, if you have somebody that thinks the complete opposite and can prove to you why your stance is wrong, then you can actually figure out or get closer to the truth, which is something that, like, if we don't talk to other people and we just stay in our own little bubble, we'll never get close to the truth, because who's to say that what we know now is the truth? Like, we look back in time and we can point out all the flaws of the people in the past and how stupid they were, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, the same people are, this 50 years from now, those same people are going to look back at us saying, oh, we're so stupid. So I think it's important to at least have some kind of meeting for next year, like whether it be a club. And we discussed this in our prior meeting, that we could maybe have certain days where we talk about certain topics and we just have an open discussion where people can, you know, lay out where they feel on a certain viewpoint, and then other people can, I guess, say their side. It'd be kind of like a debate club at that point. But, you know, I think that's important. I believe I only answered one half of that question. Different background. So where do we go from here? I think we just gotta, after this discussion, plan out what we're gonna do for the next school year and come up with some like reachable goals. Like we shouldn't be reaching too far. We gotta be pretty realistic with what we want to get done, because we don't want it to go up in the air. We don't want this discussion to be for nothing. And that's my answer. I'll pass it off to Shakira now.
All right. Well, what I think we could do to continue what we're doing is to educate ourselves. That's the biggest thing to me. Educate yourself on what's really going on in the world and what happened in the past, because teachers tell you things that happened in the past, and they come from books. Books have been like broken down for many of years, and the stories can be fake by now. We wouldn't even know if we don't do the research. So I think that we should just educate ourselves, and I think that would be a big part of learning who we are as people, or who our neighbor is, or anything like that. And it's been going on for hundreds of years. So I know teachers don't know exactly everything that happened hundreds of years ago, even if it is in the book. So just educate yourself, and I think that we'll all be able to come together one day. I'll pass off the Gabe.
Yeah, so those were all good answers. I agree with everyone, with Emily and Adam. Just taking the time out to talk. Just talk about it. And in a relationship, sometimes you may have to agree to disagree. And I know we all don't have the same opinions or the same thoughts or whatever the case may be, but I think it all starts with at least trying to understand each other, not just speaking and over talking or turning everything into a debate or an argument. With Patrick and both Shakira, I agree with those two individuals as well, because it starts with education. A lot of people, they perish because of them being miseducated and misinformed, and I think what we're doing now is the baby step. It could be the first step in, like, people say, creating a club, a group or organization here on campus where we just make groups like this, 6 feet distance. Just to sit down and talk, listen, actively listen, because I've been in so many groups or meetings where it's like one person says one thing, but then they're wrong for having that opinion, and this, that, and the third, and it shouldn't be like that. If you want equality, you want everybody to feel equal, you have to listen and actively listen, not listen just to speak, but listen to hear someone out. And, I think, like I said, like all those answers were great, because that's how it starts, and that's where it starts. And this gives me hope, because it's like, yeah, I'm with some like-minded individuals that want to see the change, and we can make that happen. And that's big. That's really big, and we could be that change here on campus. And it excites me. It really excites me, because that's what I like. All you guys are smart, and I just love it. I just love it, man. We could be that change, honestly, really, honestly. Like, I know we're all young. And
let's do it then, Gabe. Let's do it then.
Let's do it. Be the change. Like I was saying, but I know that sometimes, us being young can make us feel like our opinions don't matter, and sometimes we get so caught up in thinking the negative that we don't want to speak. But our voices are very, very powerful, and that just goes to show with what we did today. Like, this is big. This is big. So, with that, Mr. Creasman, I ask you, what is your view on the whole question?
Well, I'll get to my view in just a moment, because we have some more questions that might show up for you. But I won't forget it. All right. So I'll answer you in just a minute. But I want to see if we have any questions or comments from the Facebook Live audience who've been listening to us. So we have a question from Robert Dye. He says, "Hi, BC students. Thanks for your leadership. I'm a faculty at the college. What can faculty at Brevard College students do to support and lift up Black students?"
I'll start off with this one. I'll take it from my side. As a staff member, I know Robert's in the committee and group that we're organizing, and he is showing great leadership in that, and really listening and being a liaison between what he actually does and what the students are saying. I think that's a great thing for him to do to start off, is just to listen. I think listening is the biggest key into getting action started, and then actually having the pedestal to have that action and really support these students to go to action is a big thing.
Anyone else?
Can you repeat the question?
So what can Brevard College faculty do to support and uplift Black students?
Like can they do different?
Yeah, what can they do, period? Differently, better?
Just, treat us as equal, listen to us. That's about it. I mean, we make up a pretty good proportion of the student body, I think. So I haven't had any problems so far with anybody at Brevard College, faculty, staff, whatever. So I can't ask for much more. I'd say keep doing you. Y'all been doing a great job.
Awesome. So we have another question for you all. That question is from Stephanie. That comment is from Stephanie. Stephanie says, "All lives can't matter until Black lives matter." So
yes, thanks, Stephanie. I'm sorry I left that out. Thank you for putting that in. The nerves are running through, so sorry about that.
It's okay, Patrick.
We have Coach Donald. Coach Donald is going to do one thing for us.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have those comments. We want to thank you all for watching, and we want to thank our panelists for their courageous conversations. Dr. King wrote a book during racial tension and political tension, and the title of the book was "Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community?" Where do we go from here, chaos or community? And then eventually he says in that we must learn to live together or perish together as fools. And so I applaud and I'm excited. And Gabe, as you said, I am just happy for the courageous conversations that have taken place and the action steps that have come from this. This will not be the last space that we hear from each of you all. And so I'm inspired, encouraged, enlightened, and enlivened by all that you're going to do. And so I would simply say to all of us, now that we talk about it and we show up, keep moving forward and let the spirit of the times, the zeitgeist, move us forward. All right. So I thank you all for watching. Until next time, be the change. Be the change. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.